after sanding the fins, what we're going to do now is we're going to use some glue to attach onto these fins. But we have 3 fins, 1, 2, 3 fins that we've sanded down. We need to get these fins to be onto our fuselage here, and we want to try to spread them out equally. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this sheet of paper, and I have this pencil, and I'm just going to find a mark, and I'm going to try to make a mark here halfway in this paper. I could fold it and be more precise, but I'm just going to make a mark halfway on the paper, and I'm going to come down to a part that's about halfway on the paper. And then from this part, I'm going to go down to one corner. And then from this part, I'm going to go down to the other corner. It doesn't have to be precise. It doesn't have to be exact. But what I am going to do now is place my fuselage over it, so that way I have an idea where my fins can go. I do want to have my fins marked and try to be equally distanced. And so once I make these marks, then I take my writing utensil and I'm going to make a mark onto my fuselage to try to evenly spread these out. I'm even going to make this mark right about here because it looks like that this is about more where it needs to be. So these are where I made my marks. 1, at 2, and at 3. And it looks like they're about evenly distanced. And what I'm then going to do is now I have some pencil marks on there. I'm just going to take these pencil marks and I'm going to take these up the edge of my fuselage. But I want to try to make them go straight. So I'm going to use some kind of straight edge. And so a straight edge I have available to me is a book. You might have something else. But I'm just going to take then my pencil and I'm just going to go up a certain distance. And now I have this running along my fuselage, and I'm going to do the same thing for the other 2 as well. And I'm going to make it so that way it goes up pretty far. And then I'm going to get to my 3rd one and make this one as well. Now, you could be more precise. I'm not going to worry about that just yet. Just as long as I have the general idea of where they should be. I'm going to take these marks and I want to make them run along this fuselage, and I'm going to make them go up, not too far up all the way there, but a good distance. That way I can have an idea what's going on with my fin. So when I place my fin onto my fuselage here, I'm going to take this, and the fin is going to go on. When the fin goes on, we want it to be normal with respect to the fuselage. So what I mean by normal is this is going to be standing upright. So this would be good. And if I zoom in, we can see here what I'm trying to get is a 90 degrees angle with respect to the fin and the tube. And we want this to be as straight as we can. If the fin is coming off like that, that's a no. If the fin is coming off like that, that's a no. We don't want that. We want the fin to be 90 degrees with respect to the fuselage. Now that we have this, what we're going to be able to do is start to glue on this. So we want our fin so that it's going to almost kind of stand up with the fin attached to it. So if you were to take the fin and put it onto the fuselage, it's going to stand up. So if I were to take this and put it on its side, so that way you get an idea, I want the fins sort of around here. I don't want them being too high up. I don't want them being down here because then the engine will blow up and will burn them apart. I don't want them being up here because then it's not going to give the best direction for this rocket. I want it to be to where it's going to have just some fin hanging down. So I could even then make a mark onto my fuselage here. So this top mark, that's where I'm going to put the top of my fin. And then I can go to the second mark, rotating the fin, rotating the fuselage as well. Just keeping it so that way everything's going to be about the same height. and I can rotate. And then I'm going to go to the third one. Ideally, I would have some kind of measurement. So that way I know that all three of these are going to be at the same distance up. But now that we have our mark, what we're going to be able to do is glue the fin close to the mark. So the fin is going to be able to go right on this line up to the mark, and we're going to make this with a 90-degree angle so that way it is normal with respect to that fuselage. So something that you could do is, if you're going to be using this regular school glue, what I suggest is put that onto this fuselage here. You put it onto the fuselage and just let it sit there for like 2 minutes, 3 minutes. Let the air start to come out of it. And then when it starts to dry, now it has adhered to the tube and it's sticking to it. That's when you're going to want to put your fin on and then kind of hold it together. And so I'm going to show you how we're going to be able to hold this all together. So the way we're going to hold it all together, you'll see a picture as well showing this. But I'm going to take 4 books. That's what I have here. That's just the setup I'm able to work with. You can devise some other way. I'm using 4 books. I'm going to use my first bottom 2 books here to hold this tube, to hold the tube still. So I'm holding the tube still. It's not going to be able to rotate. I don't want that to rotate at all as I am working with this device. So I don't want it to rotate. So as it's not rotating, because I'm sticking in the books, keeping it in one spot, I'm then going to use these top 2 books to clamp the fin in. So I then can take the top 2 books and it will clamp in on the fin, so that way the fin will stay in one location. And I want the fin to stay normal with respect to the fuselage. So I can then glue this down, and then I can then come on this side, or looking over here, I look at the side to make sure it's still glued, and I make sure that it's still on. So that's going to be the process I'm going to follow as I do that. But I'm not going to use the school glue. What I have is super glue. I'm using super glue because I'm impatient. I don't want to wait those 2 minutes. I want it to be glued on, and I want it to be glued on and done. So as I have my super glue, I'm going to continue to try to do the same thing. Using regular school glue, I put the school glue onto here, onto the tube first. So school glue onto the tube first worked better for the school glue. I'm going to use the super glue. I'm going to put the super glue onto the fin first. As I put the super glue on the fin first, then it's going to make it slightly better for me that way. So once again, I'm just going to take some glue and notice the side I want to get my glue on. This is the side I'm gluing. This is the side I'm gluing. So I'm just going to get some super glue, and I'm going to place a gentle amount of super glue. For anyone who has worked with super glue before, you know it dries quickly. I'm also going to place a small amount onto my fuselage. And then I'm going to place them and adhere them all together. So that's what I'm doing now, off screen. You might not be able to see it because I am off screen. I'm trying to hold these in my hands as I'm working with the super glue, trying not to have it dry in my hands, trying not to have it dry on the material as I'm gluing it. And as it glues, you got to get it with that 90-degree angle. So I have now some glue to it. I'm going to pinch my fuselage. I'm going to bring in my first book. And now that I have my fins pinched together, I'm gonna wait and let it dry. I'm not gonna touch it for a couple minutes. I have since looked on this side, and this side. I went around this way, and I looked, and I made sure that it was 90 degrees with respect to the surface. I wanted it to be normal with it. And I also wanted it to follow along the line for that fin. Once you're done with this first fin, you can keep going. You can keep trying to get the number 2, number 3 fin on. We're going to be coming back to those in our next segment. So you don't necessarily need to do fin 2 and 3 today, but if you want to keep going with it, I know sometimes once you get rolling, it's easier just to keep going than to stop. But you will see more videos to help us put on fins number 2 and 3 moving forward. So thank you.